How many average, would the average Tsúut'ínà, what the English vocabulary would be, 10,000?
The average Tsúut'ínà?
Yeah, 10,000, 6,000, maybe.
Are you talking about Tsúut'ínà phrases or?
I just, know the average person speaking English, what would it be there?
I would say more than 10,000.
50,000, well, 50,000 is more than that.
When you're, by the time you reach the age of 6, you probably know more than about 20,000 phrases.
No, you
which
couldn't,
makes
no,
you,
that's.
what makes you a fluent English.
That's 20,000 is pretty deep.
Yeah, they know that much. Kids, they can learn lots.
Well, it's quite a bit of words.
I was gonna ask you, do you speak or understand some of the Sioux language? Because of your, on your dad's
See, what
side?
the Sioux did, okay, because their ceremonies, other songs and all the songs and language, that's what kept their language strong. It's like the Jews, they kept their ceremonies in Hebrew. And then as a result, the Hebrew is they only made that language in the late 40s. Now, in Israel, everybody speaks that language. Their children, even on the radio, everybody speaks it. It's just, and they made that spread.
I'm asking you, would you be able to carry a conversation in Sioux with another Sioux-speaking person?
I know.
Would you, or you be able to communicate more in Tsúut'ínà than Sioux?
Yeah,
That's good. That's all I'm asking.
but that's because my mother was like that.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking that, because for me, when I was growing up, it was mostly Cree. And the only time in Tsúut'ínà spoken was my grandmother and my uncles. Because my dad was Cree and my mother was Tsúut'ínà, but she never spoke to me in Tsúut'ínà, except when she wanted to talk about somebody that didn't understand. But, like that, so I was told by Bruce that when I speak Tsúut'ínà, when we're having a fluent conversation, that I have a Cree accent in my Tsúut'ínà in my family. So I don't know, but that's what I'm asking,
So.
Don't worry.
So that's what, it's
Yeah,
good to know
go
these,
ahead.
good to know these other languages. So. Say that.
Well, with that being said, Hawala. Buena.
But my mom didn't have the office of English books. I never spoke anything of English books.
Voila.
Sorry.
So we'll get started with the Tsúut'ínà prayer. I just wanted to ask everybody, we have a little bit of a different setup today, so can everyone hear me fine?
Yeah.
Good job, see you guys. So we'll start the day today with the prayer. I'll say the prayer, and then everyone can repeat after me. I will just get right into it. Tateklehe.
That's another way.
Another way. Ayohonata. Niskagulaga. Sinajina. Ayena. Tsúut'ínà. Gujatina. Isklingula. Nehiniska. Owa. Nehigunaha. Natsidgula. At Ayinasin. At Anitsid Isk. Se discuss. Se discuss it. All right, so today, we are going to. We're going to be finishing the rest of the questions. I understand. Excuse me, sorry. So Jessica won't be here today. I'll be facilitating this, her part of the language, culture activity, excuse me. Here. All right. So we're just gonna review the story that we did, Hiskaku, the curation story from the Tsúut'ínà and Gunaha worldview. They did find, we're forgot to make copies, but I did make copies of this, the Diamond Jeunesse stories. So, real quick about the Diamond Jeunesse stories. Diamond Jeunesse is the name. He was a linguist that came onto the Tsúut'ínà Reserve when we were almost 150 people. The government of Canada literally thought that we were going to disappear within the next 10 years. So they sent a linguist to document everything that he could about Tsúut'ínà and the language. So he interviewed a bunch of elders. I believe these stories, if someone could correct me if I'm wrong, are from John Whitney. John Whitney Onespot. So I could be wrong. I feel like I'm a little wrong. They don't have the title on this printout. It just goes right into the stories. Anyways. So that's where you can find the curation story. They do have a version of the curation story on there, told by John Whitney. It's also been retold by a bunch of others. We do have documentation of it at the Tsúut'ínà Gunaha Institute and at the museum as well. But I wanted to just ask real quick all of the students, just some review questions. Basically, starting off from the question, Hiskaku. So we found out that the creator, Niskagulaga, so that's the word for creator, Niskagulaga, the one who made the earth. And then we also know that Halitza means old man in Tsúut'ínà. We use that name also to describe the trickster. Or Halitza Tse, it's the name that we use to describe the trickster. Da'e, old woman, Das Chinisha, we found out with Sa'atsa. So I wanted to ask real quick from everybody what you remember. Well, going back to the story exactly, what did the wood chips that Niskagulaga threw in the water signify? Does anyone want to answer that question?
Anadane?
What did the wood chips that Niskagulaga threw in the water signify? Do you remember what he said when he was talking about the wood chips?
Like these chips, they show.
The chips will rise, and that means
So he didn't want us to die. He wanted us to keep going. We die.
close.
Like these wood chips, when I throw them into the water on shore, they will float up again. That's how the people shall come back to life. So it says.
See, it's got scary, Jacka. So in the story, what old man said is that he wanted the come back to life is what the phrase that he used. So basically when you responded, sorry, me and my son have been having a hard time trying to figure out how to talk about that subject. And that's the word that we came up with. But anyways, his original intent was to have us be, I guess, another word that you can say is immortal, where you weren't able to die. Your spirit would just float back up. And then how Tsúut'ínà, or the old, his wife, basically told him he was foolish for making him that way. Because what will end up happening is that there'll be too much of us. And there'll be no more food. Yeah, famine. So see, discuss. That's another one. Why did we just answered that one. Why did Tsúut'ínà not want to bring people back to life? So we just answered that one is because of famine. She said that the human beings will be like these pebbles, and she threw them into the water. And they all sunk down, and then that signifies that they won't come back. Moving on to the next question. What did Tsúut'ínà want to do with the Hanete that was different from what Niskagulaga wanted to do? So what did his wife, Niskagulaga's wife, do with the Hanete? That remember?
He meant them to eat. And he
Brew
wanted
them low to be eaten by the people.
Yes, good job. See, it's got scared a lot of them. She wanted the Hanete to be consumed or to be food for the human being. As to Halitsa Niskagulaga, he originally made the buffaloes to kill the human. See, it's got slogan, okay. So this is a more personal question, I guess. What feelings are you left with after this story? What meaning do you take away from this? So if there's anyone that'd be willing to share what it is that you took away from this story when you heard it. So I know from me, when I first heard this story, I was actually teaching at the elementary school. And I told the story to kids. And the thing that stood out to me the most was how caring women are. Because that part where the man was, okay, you take this stick and you're gonna make Otter Valley, you're gonna make Otter Rivers to the south. And I'm gonna do the ones in the north. And I always remember when I was telling the kids this story, it was always that the whole point of the story was to take care of what you do and be very, thoughtful in your actions. Because what old man did, he went up and he took just any old stick, had a bunch of branches on it, leaves, there's still leaves on it. He went up to the north and he just started whacking away. He started just throwing his stick around and whacking away all over the place. And it ended up making the rivers real rough and jagged. The valleys were real all over the place, and it always flooded. But what the woman did after she got that stick, she took her time and she actually took all the branches off. She took off all the leaves. She made the stick look really nice. And then she started doing her work, and she was real slow and tentative. Every thought she made, every move she made, she was very thoughtful. And then she made the valleys, the rivers. She made all of that beautiful and able to live on for many, many generations to come. And throughout the story, it's always like the man, the Halitza, he's always, it doesn't really matter what he's doing. He's just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, and just this is gonna be like this. This is gonna be like that.
Well, isn't it like that today?
And then always remembering that Tsatsa was always like, just questioned him. Say, well, why are you doing that? Like, it should be like this. You were very foolish to do that. It should be like this. And that's the one thing that I took away from the entire story. It's just that whole, as a man myself, I know that I am not really anything without women. And that whole partnership between man and women has to be very balanced. You can't have one without the other. And that transfers into our society where, like, especially the chief always had to have a wife. And it was that wife that I always remember the story about how Crow Collar. If anyone ever heard the story about Crow Collar, I could say it real quick, as fast as I possibly could. Basically, Crow Collar was a Tsúut'ínà warrior who was losing his daughter. And he asked the butcher for some more meat so he can help his daughter back to good health. But the butcher wouldn't allow it. You're only allowed certain amounts of meat. I can't give any more. And he begged him for his daughter's life. But that butcher wouldn't let him, wouldn't give in. So what ended up happening is that he lost his daughter, and Crow Collar was a man of his word, because he said, if I lose my daughter, I'm going to come back and kill you. So he went back to the butcher house, and surprisingly, he didn't kill the butcher, but he beat the crap out of him. And he killed all the cow in that butcher house, and he handed all the meat out to the Tsúut'ínà people. And the story goes is that the Canadian, the army, the Tsúut'ínà, the redcoats, they basically gathered a whole army to arrest one man, which was Crow Collar. And this happened right down at Old Agency. They said that when the redcoats came over the hill, they had cannons set up, they had all their army there. And the Tsúut'ínà, they said that it looked like a line of red blood. And I believe at that time, there's only about, I think they said 50, 40 warriors, and the rest were women and children. And the way the story goes is that Chilla was going to fight. He was getting his warriors ready in there. And it was his wife that stopped him. His wife held him back. He asked him, who's going to take care of the kids this next week? Who's going to take care of, our families? Who's going to bring food for them? Who's going to take care? What you're doing is a very noble thing. You're all going to die. And with that advice, Chilla went into his teeth and smoked a pipe. And then he put him out with the white. So that's one story that I also connect with the creation story, because it really shows how much respect we have for as Tsúut'ínà in general.
And how much, like, as a man, they have to humble themselves.
Yeah,
And man has to humble himself. That's what chills.
Read a story like that, it's kind of like there's, see, what you say, there's more like elegance.
or like what?
Elegance,
Elegance.
and there's more of a refinement, more smooth, more soft. meaning to it. And then whereas these other ones, the crazy story, if you put about this white guy, yeah, kind of, I don't know if it was really, that's where it happened, I don't know, I would just question something. It's just not, it's close maybe, but I don't know if that's really where it was, because of the, because just getting it through here now. This guy, this man,
This linguist, yeah.
yeah.
So there's always that opportunity or that chance that you back a lot of things up.
But I guess the elegance in it, in the story, I heard that story about quote, the elegance of it, meaning that passes down, strength, that's why they always quote like Shakespeare. They use that in school all the time. So. So that's one reason why I do that.
So that's what I took away from the stories. There's this whole,
Can I say something really spiritual here?
what's up?
I say something spiritual. I guess in the sweat lodge, I don't know what, this is just what I experienced and what somebody told me when I was experienced. I guess they were doing one, and then I guess those spirits came in and started speaking Dakota Sioux. And it was changed, and the way they could barely understand their language. Those spirits that came in 150 years ago. It was not the same, it was kind of similar, but it had changed. You understood what they were saying, but it's just that they were, because those spirits, when they lived, it was a different language. And you came into the sweat lodge, they were talking to those men. I don't know, does that make sense? Would that have any meaning in it?
Well, I always, so
You know what I'm saying?
for me, I always talk about the worldview and how different it was back then. It was like, especially even the language that we used back then to represent our reality as Native people is completely
Identity.
different. It's completely different from the language that we use now. A lot of the language that we use now is influenced from outside forces. A lot of it was forced upon us. So we have, like, I always think of levels, like I think of languages in levels. You got the baby level, you got the child level, you got the teenage level, and then you got the elders level, the adult. And a lot of time within that level, they call it, like it's a university, but also frame it as well. Because that's a lot of deep language, a lot of deep concepts, like linguistics. It's a very deep concept. Even art, that's another very deep concept. And they have to use language that represents all of those ideas. In Aboriginal country, it was the exact same thing before we lost it all. They had that same very high tech, high language, or high, you know, the holy people talk. Very, very like universal. And that's what I talk about, is that's something that we lost as Tsúut'ínà, specifically to Tsúut'ínà. That's something that we lost. I know that in the Bloods they have it because they have Sundance still. Stony Nation still have it because you mentioned about ceremonies. They have it, songs, stuff. Those are luxuries that we don't have here at Tsúut'ínà. And there's a whole bunch of different entities or events throughout the Tsúut'ínà history that contributed to our loss of language. So there's especially for Tsúut'ínà, it's a huge uphill battle because we lost so much language. There's so much language that we lost. We're trying to keep what language we have left. So I know, so Vera Marie mentioned that it was like 24 fluent speakers left.
Well, I always thought that Andres and I was told that they speak in different versions, but they love. Their dialect is really old. That's what Catherine told me.
And then I've heard something else from, like, even this, so she said it herself, that she said that she has a Cree accent. But like, that's another thing too, as a non-fluent speaker, I don't know if I really have to say to what is Tsúut'ínà and what isn't Tsúut'ínà. Because it's just like, it's just so. There should be more. There should be a lot more happening with the elders themselves. But that's a whole other conversation. But I'd like to move on. It's kind of hard to hear a conversation.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that note. Yeah.
Okay. So that was me and Ralph were just talking about, I guess, Tsúut'ínà in general. I don't know if you guys heard about the what Ralph was talking about, the sweat lodge that he went to. And basically the whole spirituality of Native people. But there's also a bunch of other things that are kind of talked about as well. But I did share what I took away from the creation story, and I also shared a story about Pro Collar. And then the similarities between those two stories that I took away from. Was there anyone else that would like to share anything from the story? Did you take anything from the story? Or was there any other creation stories that you might have heard? And was there any similarities or differences between the creation stories that you've heard thus far?
I was thinking of like, as you were talking about like how they're whipping the ground, like the Napi and the rock story. It's not like our creation story, but it's like how like the rock was tumbling and it was like making like crevices in the ground and like and it's landed where it was like it is now. Like so that kind of reminded me of that.
The big rock story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like how like they were whipping the ground and like or they were making like yeah, the valleys and then the same way like the rock was like making the the land the way it is, like flattening it and yeah.
So I like that story too. That's another one of my favorite stories. So see us guys, Hannah, Tia, good job. Was there anyone else that would like to share anything before we move on?
Another thing that I got from the story too is like the creation, the story about the man and the woman. Yeah, there was like it's celebrated in our ceremonies too, through like how they say there's a man's and woman's pipe that you can smoke, and we celebrate that creation because it's the most powerful thing for a man and woman can create life, a child. So that's how the spirituality works for me anyway. I understand it, but that's what I got from the story too. There's always like a man and a woman for everything, even at the to the animals. Yeah.
See us guys, right? That's really deep insight. Tia, good job. Karen wanted to share something as well.
I don't know, I just want to share something that I read, and I think this is what we were assigned to do last week. But I wanted to share it because I really think it's important for us each to share our ideas, our concerns, our challenges. I think that was part of the question from last week. But I'll just read it real quick. It's just real quick. Assignment for Gunaha Class May 8, 2024, Karen McGinnis. Introduction to Ninasha. What is that? Nishana. Nishana means your whole well-being. In order to be whole and complete for me means our 4 parts, our physical body, our mental state, our emotional feelings, and most important, our spirit. It is very vital that we as Tsúut'ínà Nation join all our efforts to work hard to learn our own language, because we each have the opportunity to bring out this valuable gift to share and make grow. It is also our responsibility to gain as much knowledge from our present day elders so we can pass it on to our next generation. This is why I am so focused on learning more. I personally feel I needed more teachings, plus I enjoy the in-person sharing. This is where the community spirit lives within each of us. We all have so much to share with one another. I truly love listening to our community elders, Audrey Pipestem and Vera Marie Crowchild. As for my own personal challenges I face is one, the amount of Tsúut'ínà material that is covered each day. For me, this is a challenge. I must really focus on discussions, plus again, I have no internet at home, no vehicle to drive to points of meetings, so I always have to arrange a ride. Today is my number one challenge. Today, this is my number one challenge, but I want to learn as much as I can. I am going to continue to challenge myself not to give up on learning, speaking the language, and hopefully one day gain enough knowledge to share what I've learned with others. I feel like it's all new, exciting, as well as important. I've seen how our Tsúut'ínà people are strong. We always pull together in good times as well as bad. This makes our community. This makes my whole being happy. I feel teachable today, and this is good. Possibilities are endless if we focus on what teachings, gifts, and values our Tsúut'ínà nation, Tsúut'ínà language holds. We must learn together. Karen McGinnis.
Yes, guys.
It's good, that is awesome.
Well, it's submitted. That's my assignment. Sorry, it's late.
That's okay, that's no problem.
Email it to Jessica.
Yes, I will, I'll definitely, this is.
Tell her next time I'll translate it all in Tsúut'ínà.
We'll help
Oh,
you.
no.
We'll help you.
You said it, you gotta do it. It's recorded.
Before I croak.
Goodness, that was, that was beautiful. Yeah, good job, Kat.
Sorry it was late.
That's
It makes
okay.
me feel good to hear something like that, in maintaining our language. And it makes me feel that they are listening and, using what they learn. It's good to have them make something like that.
So, that was really awesome. I guess, we'll continue on. With the next slide here. Next slide. So, creation story, I know just from these past 3 days, the creation story has actually opened up a lot of, you got 10 minutes left. Sieskas nania, so nania sane, the Tsúut'ínà.
Nani Sane.
I'd be there.
Monday.
Yes. That's a good job. Missed. I thought he missed. That's good. Sleep.
Lot, cho. The chawe.
Sanma. Oh. Don't forget bingo.
Oh yeah, bingo this Friday. Saturday,
Friday.
New Horses High School.
18 plus. Message to you so I can put it on.
Yeah,
my
I
calendar.
texted.
Oh.
Second. Yeah, it's a.
Mhm. I'll be okay. I'll just go off the stroll here. I'll just leave that coffee.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
Monday.
Monday,
Oh,
how old is mom?
okay.
Yes, guys, it's a.
We're invited them, right? I thought I used to work with him.
Yeah, it's kind of like the anchor.
Yeah.
She's
that
strong. We don't go off course.
Yeah, she's been helping me teach. She helped me taught the last class. And she's helping me teach this class as well. I try as much as possible to have at least more than one elder in the classroom, as much as possible because
Yeah,
there is a lot of language I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I know lots of language, I can carry a good conversation. But if I were to really count, I can probably do 25 questions and responses. But I know that I'm not even close to. I think that's another conversation in itself, because there's so many challenges that come with learning. But let's continue with the PowerPoint here. Yeah, we went through that already. I got
I just had a quick question.
yes.
This Salinger and this guy, did he name who he got this story from?
Yeah, he did. It doesn't say on the
Okay.
printout that we get, but on the front of that book, it does say who he interviewed for these stories, and there's about 3 versions, and they're all 3 different owners. The ones he interviewed were John Whitney one spot, Bernice McGinnis, no, Bessie McGinnis, and
I remember Bessie.
Not Mabel?
there's one more, I think so, the Dodging ones. Forget her name, Mabel Dodging.
I remember Bessie.
There's 3 elders that he interviewed. So going back to actually to your comment about how it's possible that the linguist left some parts out of the story. But there's even this other part that goes into it. I've done some research myself. Especially at that time, we were all very poor. We were all trying to make money. But at the same time,
Oh, TV too. TV. That one either.
yeah, and then so the one thing I know for a fact is that all Aboriginal people, I guess, bad or trouble trusting white people. So it's also possible that the person that went to interview the elders, because I remember watching the interviews themselves, and a lot of times white people doing those interviews, and those elders look like they don't want to be there. They don't want to be talking to that white person about their culture, about the things that makes it. So that's also possible that they left things out on purpose because they didn't want this. So there's two possibilities. But I wanted to go into this timeline. Can we move on? Thank you.
So the stories you gave us? These ones?
Yeah.
My twins are named after the twin brothers in this story.
My goodness,
I just found that really awesome.
yeah, those are very powerful names. That's why I'm gonna be looking up to the twins for a very long time. Where is the right here? I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. There it is. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. So I just wanted to do the Tsúut'ínà timeline. We're gonna go over the timeline. So just a heads up. This is a timeline that was posted by the Tsúut'ínà group, the Tsúut'ínà government, the Tsúut'ínà administration or Tsúut'ínà chief and council. Their website, the Tsúut'ínà website. This is on the Tsúut'ínà website. So as far as I know, they did collaborate with a lot of nation departments to find all this information. But there might be more information that needs to go into it, so just a heads up if there's anything that might be wrong or anything that might trigger anything, just a heads up. This is from the Tsúut'ínà Nation. This is on the Tsúut'ínà website. So if you just type in tsúut'ínà.com, it should come up. And then you got like Kowa. So Kowakote. It doesn't actually mean our home. Kowa means teepee. Kowakote is I think they refer it. You remember te, like hanete, Kowakote, works the exact same way. They said that Kowa is just a teepee without paint. Kowakote is the painted. The word for our home is nahenasa. So that's actually something that I wanted to mention as well on the on this thing. So if you look at my laser pointer here, Tsúut'ínà Gunaha Class May. So this is going back to the program, trying to figure out a word. Because a long time ago, we used to call ourselves Institute. We're still calling ourselves Institute, but we tried changing the name to be more Tsúut'ínà. We didn't want to actually have any English in our title as well. So we changed our name to Tsúut'ínà Gunaha Class May, which means Tsúut'ínà, sorry, the name Gunaha is someone means language, and Nas is house. So language or home is another. So Tsúut'ínà language home. Yes.
In the beginning, you said that these are all uppercase, and you put the symbols in there. I noticed in this one, you're not using, there's some uppercase and there's lowercase. Is there a reason for that?
So
Even in the Tsúut'ínà Gunaha, it's all uppercase.
yeah, so this was just
Yeah, and then I noticed that in the chief encounter or history, it's all uppercase.
yeah,
Is
so
there a
that
reason for that?
that's just design. So when they designed the logo, so the artists that designed the logo designed that.
Okay, but there's no relevance to what in the language. No relevance. Why are you using uppercase?
Doesn't really matter. I know there's uppercase, lowercase. For this particular one, it's a title, so they're using all uppercase. And I'm assuming that's the same reason for the other ones, because they're all titles or names. Is another one. But I know that's purely just design. How you want the design.
Yeah, well, in English, when you use place, it's uppercase, name is uppercase. I just remember that there was some consistency there. There's some continuity there. That's fine. See, that's uppercase.
Yeah, that's all uppercase. So yeah, as far as I know, it was just design. The designer who designed these logos, or this one that designed this program, just decided that the uppercase looks better. But we're not. I know for our Tsúut'ínà Gunaha Institute, we're not trying to control what uppercase is and lowercase, or proper spelling is another one. Because it's, I've mentioned this before, that it keeps the writing system within itself is another big problem, that it keeps changing. It is, we all know who keeps changing the writing itself.
English changing.
Yeah,
See, I went to school, you guys are using template. See, I never used that. We never went out to school, that was never used.
so yeah, it's
Use
also,
model. Now it's template. See,
yes,
That changed.
yes.
Or even
that's-
English changed.
So That's another part too, is that when these things do change, it's not taught to the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another problem. And we can go real deep into all these different problems. Right now, I want to just
Okay.
focus on the language. So if you type in Tsúut'ínà Gunaha, it comes up like this. This is your homepage. They have a bunch of information. But the one that we're going to be doing is our history. So go to our history and you will find this. In the mid 1700s, our ancestors traversed cold and unrelenting lands across northern Alberta. As one large group, they traveled south, migrating for food. When they came across a large frozen lake, the chiefs told everyone hurry across the ice. The ice is thin, they said. One woman was crossing with her child on her back and began to cry, objects sticking out the ice. He wanted it for a toy. The woman kept telling him that the chiefs were hurrying everyone across the ice, but the child kept crying. She relented and released the axe attached to her belt and began chopping at the object. She She cleaved her hatchet, and the object awoke as the horn of the Tuscan dragon. An angered Tuscan broke through the ice and the ice split. Many of our people died, and the rest were separated. The Tsúut'ínà kept on their path south, while the Dene remained and returned north. If you visit the Hanete Guska Citate, Buffalo Lake, north of Edmonton, today it is said that you can still hear the people cry, as told by Bruce Starr. Present day, the Tsúut'ínà Nation is located in the southwest.
At least they didn't say that things occurred in the 1700s. Is that what you said? You said 1700s.
Yeah, that's what it says.
But occurred at that time.
I think that's wrong. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Because mid 1700s is when Chila just became chief. He became chief about 1600s, so I'm pretty sure that's wrong. So like I said, I guess you can sum this up to an example of not checking the sources or not checking the information or not checking anything that goes into the website. Because that was one of the first things I noticed, but when I was going through it, there was a lot of, I guess you could say, things that didn't make sense.
Yeah. And I just wanted to note, like, we worked with communications. A lot of this stuff was provided by our elders. And yeah, we're working on like identity guidelines booklet that has accurate information, and yeah, I just wanted to make that note. So our program helped them with a lot of the timeline and information that's on the site here. And it's from our elders and community members as well.
So it is, last I heard, it was in the process of being updated. Is that correct?
Sorry?
A lot of the information is being updated.
Yeah, so it is like we're updating it. Yeah.
So I know for this website, it was, I think.
Yeah, and then especially for like when we're sharing like our information publicly, it's just the basic information. Like we don't want a lot of our information shared. That's like, really, that means a lot to us, like our cultural information. And So a lot of this is just really basic, like at the lens of someone who doesn't know who we are, like they're looking in and looking at our website and saying like, oh, this is who they are, like. So a lot of this information is that, like, just basic people who aren't from here, just wanting to learn about us. Yeah.
See you guys, Hannah.
Do they believe that's a literal meaning after that there was a beast there, not symbolically?
Tsúut'ínà?
Yeah, that horn, they believe that was a.
Yeah, it was an actual,
See the elephant, used to be elephants on this land, about 1000 BC, they died,
yeah,
they call them mastodons. Yeah, so one of that stories are old, that's, I don't.
that's what I was like.
Yeah, tusks, I
Yeah,
don't.
because I remember hearing different versions of the story. In some versions, they talk about it was a lightning strike, and it was actually the lightning that looked like a horn. Some say that it was a cat-like creature with a horn on its head. Most stories, I know that they considered it was a water being. And it had something to do with the water itself.
When you're talking, dinosaurs, that's pretty.
Yeah. In the story, it says Tsúut'ínà. And then here it says a dragon. But that's also like even that the word dragon comes from the east. We're talking about serpents or
Remember I asked you about if the Tsúut'ínà and the horned serpent were the same thing?
Yeah.
And use their
yes, they are the same thing. So horned serpents. There's like a whole bunch of different, I guess, different interpretations of the serpent itself. I know for myself, the way that I see Tsúut'ínà is it's a spiritual being that represents water, all of water around. Whether it's a actual physical being or a manifested being, I couldn't tell you for sure. But this is a story, this particular word I know goes back to the creation, goes back to the very beginning times. And Tsúut'ínà is the word that's been associated with that being. It's always stayed the same. It's always been that. The only person I can feel, no. Okay, so we'll continue with the timeline. So I'm just gonna go through it. Just generally, I guess we'll talk about the Tsúut'ínà history. Like I said, not all of it may be correct. Most of it is being updated at this point. They're just trying to check all the information. Gunaha is working closely with those entities that are helping with the creation of this. I believe we might have already went through a lot of this. Late 1700s, early 1800s, trees assigning the Cree to the north of Peace River, and then it's to the Cree to the south, and then it's to the north. In 1877, Treaty 7 is entered into as a peace and friendship treaty between the chiefs and Blackfoot Confederacy. I mean, between the chiefs of the Blackfoot Confederacy. See this guys. Kainai, Siksika, Gani, Stony Nakota, Bears Paw, Chickeny, Chiniki, Wesley, and Tsúut'ínà Nation.
The adhesion was signed whereby the commissioners agreed to Chief Bullhead's stance of our location of the reserve. 1885, the Canadian government put a pass system effectively segregating and imprisoning Indigenous peoples on their lands. Failure to produce said passes to travel and or leave for trading purposes could result in arrest. An Indian agent issued passes in what was said to be an attempt to quell the rebellion. However, the pass system went on for over 60 years, making it difficult for Indigenous people to sell and trade or receive fair market value of their products. 1990, first residential school opens. David Crowchild, Daisy Grasshopper, Otter, Katie Crowchild, Catty, Alice Crowchild, Harold Crowchild, and Hilda Many Horses attend. Chief Bullhead and headmen refused to surrender land to federal government. We are of one mind not to sell or give up any of our reserve. We don't want to quell about it. The reserve is just big enough for ourselves. The white men are bothering us to give up our land. The treaty was made. We don't want to sell. Quote from Bullhead. F.H. Pigeon? F.N. Pagan, responsible for Western accounts, was sent to investigate an Indian reserve in schools in Saskatchewan and Alberta. He reported Sarcee Reserve revenue of $2 annually from grazing cattle and settlers, cattle ranching, farming. Bullhead's age and will cause the sale of land to produce after his passing. Boarding school conditions are deemed to be because of low pupil attendance. The school is unfit for school purposes and needs a new school. Haggett notes that pupils were clean and healthy despite laboring conditions to contend with. Therefore, he cannot provide a favorable report.
That is subjective. That's just his opinion. That's not. How do we know that that's what happened? That's ridiculous too. You know, I've seen those past things, those tickets. It's in the Grammy Museum. That's extreme violence done on us, you know? Holy smokes, can you imagine if we did that to us? That's ridiculous. I'm just really shocked that I'm really appalled by that pass system. I just can't imagine that.
1885.
That's genocide. All you have to do is just give us what we need and it would told us all off.
So Ralph is just commenting on how he was really upset they hear about the passes. Sorry, they can't hear you.
Yeah, I just say that. I'm really upset. That's what happened.
And then just, I don't know if we have any, just Logan's question. I don't know if we have any of those tickets. I know this picture, I think, is from the Glenbow, but that's something maybe we can look into to ask about if the museum has.
Ralph said that they are in the Glenbow Museum. They have those tickets there.
Yeah, so this one, the picture here is from the Glenbow Museum.
So that's another one too that I wanna just mention. It says that it started in 1885. But like from what I understand, the ticketing system was uplifted in the 1960s.
Yeah, that's why they had to get permits to work, even to get wood or make fences, you had to have a permit to work.
So that wasn't even 50 years ago. Less than 50 years ago, that our people were allowed to leave the reserve. I always think about that, just driving off, going to my house in the city. I mean, it's always just, it's so. And to think that our kids today don't even know that. It's not something that's talked about a lot.
Is there a story about them? I heard that they were trying to go into the States and they stopped them to go to Sundance. Is there a story like that? And they were not allowed to cross over, even because they made that border some of our relatives, some of the Tsúut'ínà people are over there, were captured.
I've heard that one.
The Crows.
I've heard that one. I've heard that down south there was some Tsúut'ínà. Yeah, I've heard that one. How Crows captured Tsúut'ínà. They're still down there. There's relatives down there. But no, I didn't hear about that one. About how
They didn't want them because they didn't want to become Christian.
So Ralph was just sharing about how, like, even the American border. So he was saying that there's some Tsúut'ínà that tried to go down to a Sundance down in the States, and they got stopped. So even that, the whole border itself, that shouldn't be something that we need to deal with.
Because traditionally they were going back and forth. They were doing that before.
Yeah.
They had that was their way.
Yeah. So that's a big trigger, I guess. That's a huge one. That's I still think about it, I still get really pissed off about it.
It's recurring stress causes anxiety on you.
So back to the timeline. So you can see it there. Oops. So this is the reserve, that's Calgary, and this is the land that they're talking about. Between the 1920s and the 1990s, the two parcel of land were used for a wide range of weapons training. With the larger scale and more destructive access taking place on the artillery range by land, air, and sea. Throughout its existence, the Sarcee artillery range was used for tanks, maneuvers, and firing practice. For personal arms like bazookas, grenades, and small arm firing, for anti-aircraft practice, and for artillery firing, including howitzers and field gun, mortars, and rocket practice. In addition, experience in how to deal with chemical attacks was offered by soldiers by being exposed to tear gas, both with and without gas masks. I got beamed up.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch on that too, yeah, our D&D lands, we're creating a digital like stories resource with the lands department And part of that includes like stories from our elders about some of our nation members that went to war, and yeah, they're sharing their stories, and it'll be used as like a resource in the future.
See you guys, Hannah.
You know, when I was a boy, they came right up to the house that they built. Over around here. That's how far they, and they didn't just go. They came over. I've seen a lot of activity, but even, they're still taking out bombs out of Europe in the Second World War, and they're more sophisticated. They're still doing that. I don't, you know, our land is not clean. Our land is not totally clean.
No, so especially for this area,
And we need that land for our people.
especially for this area, I've known that there's no construction allowed there, there's no. Can't build houses there, can't use the land for farming, and that's all because of the ordinance that are still there. And the thing that I'm always like, always wondering about it, that the government of Canada made us clean it up. They, nothing against the D&D department. They've done an amazing job and they've worked really hard to try. Yeah. But again, it should be something that's like, I even hear that we're funding it. And it should be something that should be, you know, from even the US Army should be doing something like that. And yeah, they are doing it in Europe, so like they apply that over here as well. But
I heard that the Americans were on that land. British. Australians have been on that land. Training. But I don't think Europe, but Europeans, they're more sophisticated out there. They have a lot of people that can do that. And they're so, their population is so high, so they have to keep it.
mhm.
But us, maybe, you know, I don't think that land's ruined.
So, moving on, I'll just read the next couple parts here. We still got lots to get through here today, so.
Yeah, and this is on the Tsúut'ínà website if any of the students want to look at it on their own. Yeah, I'm just thinking of the time. We just have a half an hour left.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I wanna get through real quick, so we'll get back to this. 1910 is where we'll stop. Real quick, I just want to mention that this is the year that Chilla, our great leader, passed away. I think if you actually look on the Tsúut'ínà app, that Tsúut'ínà Gunaha app, you can actually find a picture of this Chilla's funeral, which is really cool. I just find that really cool. Then Spanish flu. Joe Bay Plume starts the first community Christmas feast. Thomas Murray arrives to observe the school and is appalled by the conditions. So this is another, I think, really important one that I just want to mention. So Thomas Murray, we actually named our health center after him. And this is the reason why we named the health center after this man. Arrives to observe the schools and is appalled at the conditions. Mandates better food, separate the sick children from the healthy, and starts the vaccination program to rid the reserve of tuberculosis outbreak. The Department of Indian Affairs agrees to a 100-year military lease on land in the northwest corner of the reserve. So we already talked about that one, but this one, there's a story that I want to tell that I heard from the elders that were actually there the day that this man arrived. And it's crazy because that's another story that's gonna kind of tick people off. But when this doctor came, he came into the boarding school, and what he saw, and this is an account from one of the kids that were sitting at the table. He saw this white man come in, and then he said that he just started yelling. Because what he saw is he said that every day we sit at there's a kids table, and right across the room, there's all the teachers where they eat. And he said every day they got porridge. And this porridge was so unclean, it had flies in it, fruit, like it was really bad. And it even had mold in it, what I heard. And that's what they would get every day. And the teachers, they would have a whole feast. They would have meat, they would have bacon, eggs, they'll have like all these stuff, and it just filled the table. And when this Dr. Thomas came in, he walked into the school and he looked at both tables. He said that that child said that he just started yelling at the teachers. And what he did is he grabbed all that food that was on the teacher's table and he gave all that food to the kids. And then he moved all of that porridge and he gave it to the teachers. And that's a very vivid memory for that elder that was there. Because that's probably the first time, I don't even know how long, he's probably there his entire life. That was the first time he got to enjoy real food like that in school. So this is another thing that this man did do a lot for our people, and we did name our health center after him. So we'll stop right there because there's a couple things that I want to go through before we end today's class. I know for myself, I wanted to watch this video, especially after going through the timeline there. It's going to be it's a little heavy. So I wanted to just talk about the assignment that's for this Thursday. I do have templates that I did send out. Models, as Ralph mentioned.
I don't know if it's too long.
So we did send those out. That is due this Thursday. So all it is, in real simple terms, it's just a introduction of your family tree. And the only thing I want is the Tsúut'ínà words. So like my grandma's name is Delphine. So for me, that'd be like Sister Miss Delphine. And that's really all I want. It doesn't have to be your entire family tree. I'm not asking for lineage or anything like that. The biggest thing is just to get the Tsúut'ínà used. I want you to use the Tsúut'ínà terms. So my grandpa, my mom, my dad, and then any other terms that you want to use that are in the word bank. And you can go, sky's the limit. It's really up to you on how much you want to put into the family tree. But it's due this Thursday, tomorrow. We can move the receiving date to Friday. If you feel like you might not be able to get it in on Friday, just let us know when you might be able to get it in. We can definitely work with you now.
And make sure to forward that paper to just.
Oh, yes, I got it right here. So that's the only thing about this Thursday is that I want to just mention that. And that's the only thing that's for this Thursday.
Are you in tomorrow or Friday?
Friday, we'll be doing tutoring again at 10 a.m. So I'll be at the office again on Friday. And then Jessica will be online for anyone that goes online. So we are still offering the tutoring. But for tomorrow, that's gonna be the Tsúut'ínà cleanup day. We're gonna be, we won't have.
And I think, sorry, I think Jessica said she would still have class open on her end, because she's from she works out of town. So she said she would still have the class open if anybody like has questions, or
Yes,
maybe they don't want to go clean up.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. So Jessica is gonna have the online class still. For anyone that's either doesn't want to participate in tomorrow's festivities, or if they want to get some more tutoring. So we are offering the class. It's just I won't be there. I'll be with Gunaha cleaning up. But Jessica will be online for anyone that wants to participate in the class or tutor. It's just gonna be like a review for any of the students that show up. Unfortunately, there won't be an actual physical place for like all the students that are here. It won't be a physical place to actually attend the class. It'll just be online.
On Thursday.
On Thursday, yes. Tomorrow, yes. So that's just tomorrow. That's just for tomorrow.
Monday we're back on.
Monday, we're back in the Elder's Lodge. Yes. And then tutoring on Friday. Assignments due on this Thursday. We can push it back to Friday. If you feel like you won't be able to get it in that day, just let us know and we'll work with you. Anything else? No, I don't think so. So there was this video that I wanted to share with everybody on the revitalizing efforts of BC. So this is from a story made from the U of Vic. And they just talk about their revitalizing efforts with the Tsúut'ínà language. No, sorry. So in BC, there's 34 distinct languages, and there's about 6 language groups, and that's just in BC alone. So I know Dene is one of those language families, because there's a lot of Dene tribes in BC. So this is from the U of Vic.
It says like carrier, isn't that BC? Carrier, okay. BC.
I am unsure. I'm not sure.
And yellow hair, is there one? I don't know.
I know there's a lot. There's so
I think you have to unmute your laptop. I don't know if there's sound on it.
This dog rib, isn't that Alberta?
yeah, dog ribs Alberta. So I know the ones that are in Alberta is dog rib, Denisosleve, Kitchon,
Any thoughts?
Denisla, and Slavey,
What chip?
Chippewa. I think so, yeah, I'm pretty sure Chippewa. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out this,
And
can you turn off the, there you go. Nope, that's not it.
And then you're on the main screen or the boardroom screen, you'll just have to mute that mic. So there's no echo.
Wait, let me play.
Can't share. I think it's from. Uh-oh. I thought I had this figured out, but because of the new system we're using, it did that.
I think it would be the same thing as like on your sound, the arrow. It would be like the same as system or
You guys hear that?
cha.
Sure. Close,
Because it's on your laptop, you have to unmute your laptop.
Yeah.
I figured that out. I'm just trying to.
Should I shut the whole bar off?
Oh no. Check. You guys hear that? Chop. Is that okay? All right. That's just I'm gonna have to figure this out some other time.
Maybe I can share it. I can try. I was just gonna type in the video. Okay, I think I'm sure.
Powerful tool
Can you see
because
my
it can
screen?
provide insight into areas of opportunity otherwise unseen. It can break down bias. It can build a bridge of understanding.
Are you able to see my screen and hear it? Anyone?
Yeah, can you hear it?
Okay.
I muted us.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Hola, oopsie, sorry. Suman kwayo or suman hastachlayo hemens kwanuko whoa 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 ola ikano
gachakus Tsúut'ínà glaio Tsúut'ínà hastachlaio Hetman's Juanuko. And I would just sing that over and over again. The words translate into Ola ikin noke gachakus. My heart is really happy that you have come to me. Tsúut'ínà glaio, you are my reason for living. Tsúut'ínà hasta glaio means you are my reason for breathing.
So language just has so many different layers of benefit. They were talking to me about what's the difference about between shivering and wind. They said, no, what? They had to make me think. Shivering is sukwem. You're shivering. You're from sukwem. Pu'am is wind. Pu'am. Then I started thinking, oh, I bet you they're thinking of sukum, and that's traveling, going with the wind.
Bringing the language back within our community has been a vision that has been thought of for a long time. It didn't start with us. It's been in the works for a long time. There were a lot of people that worked at that for quite a few years. Learning my language, learning Tsúut'ínà, and working on language revitalization in my community really has been one of my greatest gifts. It bridged a huge gap between the young people and the old people, and it was really, really healing for me.
Learning language is such an important thing in regards to learning your own identity as well. And it really also connects you to the land that you're on. It really helps you kind of know who you are.
So many different words in Tsúut'ínà you can break down, and there's a story inside. So when you're learning language, you're also regaining that knowledge of those old stories, but the spiritual connection to your homelands too. So our word for orca is Kultlalamachin. So if you break apart that word, Kul means weak, Tlal means went out into the deep parts of the ocean, Chun means it comes from the land. So why is our word for orca Kultlalamachin? Weak, went out to the deep parts of the ocean, and Chun comes from the land. You realize quickly that it comes from their creation story. Even though it seems like language and spirituality can be far apart, it's really not. Learning language brought me home. It just woke me up, I think.
I took the language revitalization program through UVic. I didn't really expect to actually make it this far, and you know, I come from a construction background, and it was actually my wife that brought it forward, and I said, you know, I do want to learn language, but I think it comes in levels depending on how much you want to be involved. You know, there is the diploma program through UVic. And then you can carry on to, you know, the bachelor's program, bachelor's of education, and you can actually become a teacher. And then, you know, there's the master's, and then you can even go for your doctorate in language revitalization. So, you know, there's big opportunities out there for our people, and depending on how involved they want to be in language. And, you know, I felt like a big accomplishment in myself, you know, kind of doing my part in educating, you know, the greater community. of the real history of our people and the real history of Canada, really, because it was all taken away from us through the residential school and day school experiences, and trying to figure out, you know, how to move forward in the best way possible to educate our youth and educate our communities, and, you know, and still have our, you know, our teachings in place and our ways, our worldview, you know, because it's all based around, again, love, honor, and respect. And Natama is the word that always comes forward. Natama is unity, you know, being one, working together and moving forward together.
One of the things that we found was that the people who were involved were working triple time because they were learning their language, they were working on their language, they were learning how to revitalize a language, how to recover a language, because in some places, you know, the language was no longer being spoken. And they were learning how to teach, you know, to work in a very different structure to be able to provide language learning.
Tsúut'ínà mind frame and English mind frame, totally different. I was super culture shocked when I had to go to UVic, where the understanding of who I was wasn't always there, but there were a lot of really great methodologies that I did not know about that I learned through each of the programs. In my diploma years and in the BEd years, they matched us with a fluent speaker, with Gunaha teachers who had been working in Indigenous language revitalization for many years, where we just felt at home. We'd go to class up the road because that's where our language belongs.
No offense, but if you still think stocks, real estate, or crypto are the best passive income investments in today's
But it was a very good learning opportunity for us. In order for them to be certified as teachers, to be able to do the job of revitalizing their language, learning their language, is superhuman.
It's very emotional work, but we always had encouraging words for each other, how to take care of health, mental health, physical health. Our classes were always in the community, which made us more comfortable. I had babies while I was in those courses, and they were on my hip, they were wrapped and sleeping on the table, and when I had to present, my classmates were holding my babies. More people were asking about, how do I say it this way? How do I say it that way? What's the story behind this? What is this place name?
It really is a bit shocking to see we started this 10 years ago. We all got together to say, hey, we're going to learn Kwakwa and we're going to do our best to get out there and do this. And yeah, there have been so many challenges along the way, and we've lost so many of our fluent speakers in the last 10 years. And that's a scary part just in and of itself. But the beautiful parts that have kind of blossomed out of this whole experience in the last 10 years, so many of our cohort that when we all graduated together are still teaching. They're still doing the work. They're still out there and they're involved in what we're hoping ignites, I guess, the fire, the passion, the ambition that they all want to be.
Great, Hannah. So we'll watch the rest. Oh, okay. So we'll watch the rest when we get a chance. Or another thing you can do is you can watch the rest on your own time. The title of the video is in the comments. So I'm just hearing an echo of myself. That sounds really.
I can, when the shit goes up.
Okay, here we go. So yeah, the title of the video is in the comments, and you can find it on YouTube. It's a really good video, I think, because
it kind of brings it to this time. There's been so much work that's been done for Aboriginal languages in terms of trying to bring them back. That there's from U of A all the way down to, I mean, here in Calgary, it's St. Mary's University that's working with a lot of Aboriginal languages in Treaty 7. So there's lots of work going, trying to revitalize all these different languages.
Which university? Which university?
U of A is in Vancouver, Prince Edward Island.
But yeah, Victoria. I just wanted to know oh no, there's an emergency alert. Okay. I just wanted to note that a lot of our teachers went to that same program, and it just reminded us. So we were in a cohort with the University of Victoria with our teachers, and a lot of them were like the same thing, like, Sita Kirsten, had her babies in the class, and it was cool because they came to us to teach. So a lot of our teachers completed that certificate program, and we use that as also a way to use those credits to go into a Bachelor's of Education program through the University of Calgary. So there's 6 of our teachers in their Bachelor's of Education program. So like it just shows there, like, our teachers and like the people working in our program they are like working really hard to, teach the language and in every way. Yeah, I was just kind of getting emotional.
Yes, guys, I know. So with that being said, we are at the end of today's class. So another couple of real quick reminders. There's no class tomorrow. Physical class, there'll be no physical class tomorrow. If you do want to join in online, Jessica will have the online open at 10 a.m. Myself, I won't be there. I'll be participating in the cleanup day. And also family tree assignment is due on Thursday. We can push it back to Friday. If that is something that you really need help with, I do suggest going to Jessica tomorrow, and she'll be able to help you very, very efficiently. And then also on Friday, 10 a.m. we also are doing tutoring. I'll be at the Gunaha Institute office, and then Jessica will be online at 10 a.m. Again, to help with anyone that needs assistance. We can also review the conversation, Tsúut'ínà conversation. Really just for anyone that needs help catching up with the class. So with that being said, I will just end today's class with the closing prayer. I'm just going to pull it up real quick. So we'll just say the closing prayer, and then I'll see everybody on Monday. Monday da. See you guys. Voila. Tsúut'ínà tate klehe. Ayahonata. Niskagulaga. Sinajuna. Ayina. Tsúut'ínà. Gujatina is klingula. Nehiniska owa. Nehigunaha. Natsidgula. Hat ayinasin. Hat anitsid iskat. Siskas. Siskas it's here. Natana yesane iklatsit.
Nani Nani
Spoilers.